Hare Krishna, dear devotees and friends. Today we are going to look at first chapter of Nectar of Devotion, characteristics of pure devotional service. Srila Prabhupada is explaining that there is 6 main characteristics of pure devotional service, and normally they go in groups 2 by 2. The first 2 are manifested on the level of practicing a regulative devotional service, or Vaidhi, sadhana bhakti. The first 2 and the second 2, or 4 characteristics together, they are manifested on the stage of ecstatic devotional service, or bhava bhakti, and all of them, 6 characteristics, are manifested on the stage of devotional service performed with love of God, or prema bhakti. And these 6 characteristics are: first, pure devotional service brings immediate relief from all kinds of material distress, or the Sanskrit word is klesha agni. Devotional service destroys all clashes or suffering. Second, pure devotional service is the beginning of all auspiciousness. Sanskrit word is subhada. Third, pure devotional service automatically puts one in transcendental pleasure. Sandrananda Visheshatma. 4. Pure devotional service is rarely achieved. Sudurlabha. 5th, those in pure devotional service deride even the conception of liberation. Moksha laguta krit. And the 6th characteristic, pure devotional service is the only means to attract Krishna. Shri Krishna Akarshini. And Srila Prabhupada is commenting after the 6th characteristic: Krishna is so attractive, but pure devotional service attracts even him. This means that pure devotional service is even transcendently stronger than Krishna himself, because it is Krishna's internal potency. Later we will speak more about this. So now, shortly we will go through these 6 characteristics. The first one, kleshagni, or relief from material distress. Srila Prabhupada explains that suffering comes because of sins, or when we do something improper in this life or in our previous lives. Because of that, certain bad reactions should come in the form of suffering. And these reactions, they have different levels. In other words, some of the reactions from our previous improper activities or sinful activities are already manifested now, and we are experiencing suffering because of them. Some are almost manifested. Some of those reactions are in the form of seeds, or that means we did something wrong before and it weighs in the form of seed, but at some point it will give, in the future it will give result, or some suffering will appear in our life because of that. And also sinful proclivity, or the desire again to be engaged in sinful or improper activities. This is also one result from performing in the past improper actions. So the main reason for all this is ignorance, or because we forgot that we are spiritual living entities and we are connected with Krishna. Only because of this ignorance or lack of knowledge, we are engaging in all these activities which are actually not favorable for us, for our situation. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining that devotional service can destroy the sinful reactions on all these levels. Not only that, but the devotional service destroys the reason for all these uh, improper activities or the ignorance itself. Because by engagement in devotional service, one achieves knowledge that he is part and parcel of Krishna, that he is eternal servant of Krishna, and because of that, he does not act anymore in these improper ways. And in this way, slowly all the suffering is finished. Of course, it may take little time. In some places, Srila Prabhupada is giving the example with the fan. When you switch off the fan, it takes little time before the fan completely stops moving. But once we start our engagement in devotional service, it's a question of little time that all sinful reactions are nullified, and in this way the suffering in our life disappears. The second characteristic of pure devotional service is Krishna consciousness is all auspicious, or devotional service is all auspicious. Srila Rupa Goswami has given a definition of auspiciousness. He says that actual auspiciousness means welfare activities for all the people of the world. And Srila Prabhupada explains that nowadays many people are trying to do something for the welfare of the people all over the world, but what they are doing does not benefit people completely. Or in other words, it benefits the people temporarily, but not eternally. Whereas devotional service has the power to benefit everybody, doesn't matter where he is living, what is his social status. Krishna consciousness can benefit everybody. Also, Krishna consciousness or engagement in devotional service makes all the good qualities to develop in the character of the performer of bhakti yoga. All the qualities of demigods, they appear in the character of the devotee. And Srila Prabhupada is giving nice example. He is saying, for example, a Krishna conscious boy, even if he is not very well educated by the university standard, can immediately give up all illicit sex life, gambling, meat eating, and intoxication. Whereas those who are not in Krishna consciousness, although very highly educated, are often drunkards, meat eaters, sex mongers, and gamblers. These are practical proofs of how a Krishna conscious person becomes highly developed in good qualities, whereas a person who is not in Krishna consciousness cannot do so. We experience that even a young boy in Krishna consciousness is unattached to cinemas, nightclubs, naked dance shows, restaurants, liquor shops, etc. He becomes completely freed. He saves his valuable time from being extravagantly spent in the way of smoking, drinking, attending the theater, and dancing. So, if we compare with this the other normal lifestyle in a modern society, modern Western society, there are so many people who are highly educated. They went to normal school, they went to university, they got maybe a high degree, maybe even PhD degree, but the result from this is their lifestyle, their culture is still animalistic. They cannot control their senses, and because of that they cannot be happy. And as Srila Prabhupada is saying, even a person who just now starts performing devotional service, already he is becoming purified from all bad habits like illicit sex life, gambling, meat eating, intoxication, and so on and so on. And Srila Prabhupada concludes this section. The conclusion is that no one can truly have any good qualities if he is lacking Krishna consciousness. Or in other words, if we want to cultivate permanently real good qualities, we have to engage in devotional service. Otherwise, even if we develop some good qualities, it will be temporarily, and soon they will be changed with another bad qualities, bad habits, and so on and so on. So these two characteristics of devotional service, in Sanskrit called Kleshagni and Subhada, or appearance of all good qualities in the character of devotee, and destruction of all suffering in the life of devotee, they appear on the beginning stages of practicing devotional service in Krishna consciousness. In other words, just after short practice of devotional service, the devotional service is so potent, so powerful, that it can destroy all the reasons for suffering in the life of a devotee, and slowly all good qualities will appear in the character of a devotee. The third characteristic of pure devotional service is happiness in Krishna consciousness. Srila Rupa Goswami has analyzed the different sources of happiness. He has divided happiness into three categories, which are happiness derived from material enjoyment. Second, happiness derived by identifying oneself with the Supreme Brahman. And three, happiness derived from Krishna consciousness. The happiness derived from Krishna consciousness is so much superior than the other two that someone who is seriously practicing Krishna consciousness, he cannot be any more attracted by the happiness from simple material enjoyment, and even from the happiness derived from liberation or merging one with the Supreme Lord. People who are trying to merge themselves with the Supreme Lord, actually they cannot stay in this position eternally. Even if they become very successful, normally we call these personalities with the word impersonalists, because they are trying to achieve the impersonal aspect of the Lord. Even if they achieve quite high spiritual platform in their practice, because the nature of the soul is personal, and the soul needs a personal exchange, basically even if those personalities achieve this platform of unity with the effulgence of the Lord, it's a question of time to become again unsatisfied and desire to appear for activities, for personal activities. And if they cannot achieve personal activities on a spiritual platform or in the realm of Krishna consciousness or devotional service, they go back to the spiritual world and they become engaged again in different material activities like altruism or different welfare activities, who appear like spiritual activities, but actually they are material because they are egocentric. More or less, they are egocentric. And also, person in Krishna consciousness, he is experiencing such a great happiness that he also does not have any desire for different mystic cities that the yogis want to achieve. The yogis achieve different mystic cities that more or less help them to think that they are as great as God, because they can do miracles, things that nobody else can do. Devotee does not have such kind of ambitions. His only desire is to serve the Lord. He doesn't want anything else than this. Srila Prabhupada is finishing this section with the sentence, he, the devotee, does not want anything but service to Krishna. But even if he should have another desire, The Lord fulfills this without devotees asking. In other words, the pure devotee, he does not want anything for himself. He just wants to serve Krishna. But still, even if in his heart still there is something, some unfulfilled desire, the Lord will make a special arrangement to fulfill his desire because he is so dear to the Lord. The next characteristic of pure devotional service is the rareness of pure devotional service. Srila Prabhupada is writing, in the preliminary phase of spiritual life, there are different kinds of austerities, penances, and similar processes for attaining self-realization. However, even if an executor of these practices is without any material desire, he still cannot achieve devotional service. And aspiring by oneself alone to achieve devotional service is also not very hopeful, because Krishna does not agree to award devotional service to merely anyone. Krishna can easily offer a person material happiness or even liberation, but he does not agree very easily to award a person engagement in his devotional service. Devotional service can in fact be attained only through the mercy of a pure devotee. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 19:151, it is said, by the mercy of the spiritual master who is a pure devotee, and by the mercy of Krishna, one can achieve the platform of devotional service. There is no other way. So Krishna is protecting the process of pure devotional service because it is a very powerful process. If one possesses this pure devotional service, he becomes controller of Krishna. Krishna is ready to fulfill any desire of a pure devotee. That's why Krishna is a little bit careful to who he is giving pure devotional service. But as Srila Prabhupada is explaining, the easy way is to get the mercy of a pure devotee of the Lord. Because if we get his mercy, because Krishna is very much inclined to fulfill the desires of his pure devotees, he will very easily give us his mercy, just because this is the desire of his pure devotee. So normally this is the spiritual process. We begin the process of devotional service by accepting shelter in a pure devotee of the Lord. So this is the fourth characteristic, the rareness of pure devotional service. Fifth characteristic, happiness of becoming one with the Supreme. Srila Prabhupada writes, Srila Rupa Goswami says that if Brahmananda, or the happiness of becoming one with the Supreme, is multiplied by 1 trillion fold, it still cannot compare to the atomic fraction of the happiness derived from the ocean of devotional service. In Hari Bhakti Sudodaya, Prahlad Maharaj, while satisfying Lord Narasimhadev by his prayers, says, My dear Lord of the universe, I am feeling transcendental pleasure in your presence and have become merged in an ocean of happiness. I now consider the happiness of Brahmananda to be no more than the water in the impression left by a cow's hoof in the earth, compared to this ocean of bliss. Similarly, it is confirmed in Bhavarta Deepika, Sridhar Swami's commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. Quote, My dear Lord, some of the fortunate persons who are swimming in the ocean of your nectar of devotion and who are relishing the nectar of narration of your pastimes certainly know ecstasies which immediately minimize the value of the happiness derived from religiousness, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. Such a transcendental devotee regards any kind of happiness other than devotional service as no better than straw in the street. So this is similar like the previous kind of happiness that we were discussing in the previous characteristics of devotional service, but just there is gradation. Like as we were speaking, on the level of a regulated devotional service, the devotee already experienced quite serious happiness. But then on the level of Bhava Bhakti, or devotional service in ecstasy, the devotee experience much stronger and much higher happiness in the devotional service. And this happiness described here is actually the happiness devotee is experiencing on the level of prema, which is so intense that the devotee even cannot perceive anything else around him anymore. The material world stops existing for the devotee. He cannot perceive anything else. And the last characteristic of pure devotional service, attracting Krishna, or in Sanskrit, Shri Krishna Akarshini. Srila Rupa Goswami has stated that devotional service attracts even Krishna. Krishna attracts everyone, but devotional service attracts Krishna. The symbol of devotional service is in the highest degree is Radharani. Krishna is called Madana Mohana, which means that he is so attractive that he can defeat the attraction of thousands of cupids. But Radharani is still more attractive, for she can even attract Krishna. Therefore, devotees call her Madana Mohana Mohini, the attractor of Cupid. Srila Prabhupada continues, to perform devotional service means to follow in the footsteps of Radharani, and devotees in Vrindavan put themselves under the care of Radharani in order to achieve perfection in their devotional service. In other words, devotional service is not an activity of the material world. It is directly under the control of Radharani. In Bhagavad Gita it is confirmed that Mahatmas, or great souls, are under the protection of Daivi Prakriti, the internal energy, Radharani. So being directly under the control of the internal potency of Krishna, devotional service attracts even Krishna himself. So on this stage of devotional service, or on the stage of prema bhakti, or performing devotional service with love of God, the devotee is already so attractive that Krishna is actually, at that time, Krishna becomes devotee of his devotee. And as we read, we can engage in the process of devotional service only by the mercy of the internal potency of Krishna, Srimati Radharani. That's why normally devotees, they try to get the mercy of Srimati Radharani in order to be able to serve Krishna. And how can we get the mercy of Srimati Radharani? By getting the mercy of the representatives of Srimati Radharani, or the spiritual master, the devotees. So this is the process. If we get the mercy of the Vaishnavas, of our spiritual master, we can get the mercy of Radharani. If we get the mercy of Radharani, definitely we will get the mercy of Krishna. And in this way we will be successful. And Srila Prabhupada finishes this section with the following sentence. That is the proof of how great this process of devotional service is. It can attract even the Supreme Personality of Godhead. God is great, but devotional service is greater than God because it attracts Him. People who are not in devotional service can never understand what great value there is in rendering service to the Lord. So this is a summary of the first chapter of Nectar of Devotion. Hare Krishna.